What was the fastest way you've seen someone ruin their life? A friend of mine and 4 other guys who I wasn't familiar with decided to break into a vacant house and rob a pizza guy at gunpoint. Dumbass got 6 years. They got $32 and 3 pizzas. My buddy had only turned 18 a week before too. There was a kid in my year who robbed a dairy, corner store, for no shit $20. Also he could go to the dairy down the street and buy cigarettes because they sold smokes to minors. He was 16 at the time. Not only is it shit logic to do and rob a place to begin with, but both dairies sold smokes. Why couldn't he rob the first one for smokes instead of $20 still gets me to this day. Huffing paint. My college buddy was an affable stoner type who liked psychedelics, weed, and drinking. He was broke so he got into huffing paint over the summer. He passed out with a plastic bag full of spray paint over his face and ended up depriving his brain of oxygen and is now mentally disabled due to brain damage. Like, drooling, slurring, can't tie his own shoes or perform basic life tasks, level disabled. I worked with a few patients who were huffers. It was sad to see people that used to be functional adults become the addled fools that huffing made them. It's got to be the worst of the worst when it comes to drugs and brain damage. A few years back, one of the students attending the university I work at got caught trying to sneak a shitload of drugs into a local nightclub. The first we found out about it was when some police officers turned up with a warrant to go through his room, and I was the lucky person chosen to go let them in. So I opened the door, and oh dear lord, there's drugs everywhere. If you've ever seen one of those old-timey pick-and mix shops with all the sweets in big glass jars, imagine that, but with pills and wraps of powder instead. Everything else was all super neat and tidy, and it was one of the cleanest student rooms I'd ever been in, just that every flat surface had a container full of drugs or some other sort of paraphernalia on it. This student was in his 4th year of a master's degree, and due to finish in 3 months. He ended up being charged with possession with intent to supply, and since a lot of the stuff he had in there was Class A, is now going to be in prison for a decade or 2. Damn, I feel bad for that guy. Nobody should go to prison that long for a non-violent offense. Well, generally I'd agree, but we think there may have been an extra reason or two as for why he got such a long sentence. Could possibly have been the sheer amount he had though. We heard rumors that he was the sort who supplied other dealers. No idea if that could be proven though. CP. He seemed so normal, nice guy, and his life looked good, wife, family, good job, nice home. Next thing I know he's in jail and has lost it all. Edit, damn it, my most upvoted comment is about CP. Might delete later, I don't know. I know a guy like that. I was really good friends with his son and, to a lesser extent, his daughter. Our families traded carpooling days when I was still swimming, so he drove me to and from practice/meets a fair bit. Turns out he was recently arrested for CP and or human trafficking of some kind. Now that I'm a coach, I hang out with one of my old coaches a fair bit, and we just can't figure out how the hell he got to this point or what he was actually getting out of volunteering at swim meets. A neighbor, his wife and his friend's wife, were at the neighbor's house. The 2 men both got into arguments with their wives and decided to go out drinking down the street. A few hours later I'm woken up by my sister banging on my bedroom door. I was staying with them at the time, because a car crashed doing probably 80 and a 25 miles per hour right next to our home. I jumped out of bed and got outside to see the neighbor's car crashed into a tree and 2 men trapped inside. The tree the car hit stopped them from ramming into another neighbor's house, and they hit it so hard, the battery was in the street after hours. Their car caught fire and we had to watch them burn to death, still see it and smell it every now and then when trying to sleep. I had never met the wife, so I had no idea who she was when she came up and asked me what happened, so I said some guy crashed his car. She took off running after she recognized the car. Can't believe I told her that her husband died so bluntly. Damn dude, hope you were able to get some therapy. My wife recommended therapy, but she was really all I needed to work through it. I'm glad she didn't see anything though. We had already decided to move back to Iowa before that happened and left about a month later. It was awful to see, but being away from where it happened helped too. My sister still checks on the wife that lives there still. Their daughter trick or treats around the neighborhood and seems to be doing okay. The friend who also lost her husband moved away. Friend got married right after high school. Left for boot camp and deployed soon after. Gave his wife power of attorney. She destroyed his credit and put him $200,000 in debt in 8 months. They divorced, but his commanding officer advised him to just give her whatever she wants to keep her quiet. So now he's also paying alimony. This is why they tell you from the moment you step into basic to not ever give someone a general power of attorney. Not even your own mother. He was gonna be the one to put our dinky little private school on the map by going to the NFL as a kicker. He fell off a picnic table that was being pulled behind a pickup truck at a party, pasture surfing. By the time I saw him again a year later, he could almost feed himself without assistance. Knew a guy who had a similar accident. They were snow tubing, pulling a tube behind a truck. Driver fucked up, didn't realize how wide the tube would swing. Rider hit a low concrete wall. He didn't die then but almost did, and it ruined his young swimming career. His personality was never the same afterwards, always angry. He became a raging alcoholic and died in his 20s, from some rare disease you get from being exposed to rat piss. He was living alone in squalor. The driver is sort of okay, I guess, but has never really recovered either. Saw a guy slide down a stair rail and fall backwards 12 feet onto a concrete floor. Died at the hospital less than 24 hours later. From college student to dust in less than a day, pretty quick. Happened to me, fell 2 floors down the middle of a staircase because I was drunk and stupid sliding down the rail. Incredibly lucky enough to only get a broken foot and fractured hip, but was pretty traumatic for everyone who witnessed it. I rate the experience 0 out of 10. Don't be an idiot like me. This kid at my school, university, stole a pickup truck attached to a hot dog stand where everyone goes to for drunk food. Oh yeah, he was drunk. He blew a .18 and when asked while he did it he said, "Because I'm a dumbass." Did this happen in the Metro Detroit area? I got a picture of a news article referencing his and it's hilarious. That's it. The article quoted that an officer said, "This young man from what I can tell is a student who had a bright future in front of him and now he needs to deal with this. He's got a lot of things he has to deal with before he can get back on the right track. RIP." Crystal meth over 2.5 months. My long ago neighbor had an Audi, crotch rocket, beautiful, classy home furnishings and a great job, only to end up with a folding chair and nothing else. Very sad to watch. He was a nice enough guy before the fall. What happened specifically? Did he blow it on drugs or gambling or bad investments? How did so much money disappear in 2.5 months? For a while, he was pay to play in terms of his friends. My guess would be buying for half a dozen would get costly, and he lost the good job and then things got sold, hawked, or repoed. Except the folding chair. The metal kind. I won't forget seeing only that. Couple of guys in my hometown were looking for something to steal so they could sell it to buy drugs. They come to a house where no one was supposed to be home and one guy gets out of the car and goes to the house to steal a grill. A friend of the homeowner happened to be there and came out when he stepped onto the porch. He tells the friend that he is looking for his dog, so the guy walks out into the yard to help look for it. The would-be robber panics, and pulls out a gun and shoots the man in the back of the head. At 21 he started a life sentence for a really stupid murder. Which incident was this? Trying to see if I can find it in the news. It was in 96-97, so not much available online. The guy's name is Stephen McGuffin. I don't remember the co-defendant name. An Indian guy I worked with at a tech company was there late one night. He asked the Latina cleaning lady that was there for the night cleaning if she'd like to go to a hotel with him, and then whipped his dick out. Directly under cameras, in the upstairs area of the office. She called the police, and he was shipped back to India, losing his 6-figure-a-year job. Boobs and vagina is a powerful force. One of my high school teachers lost her son when he was drunk and dove into a pool from the 2nd floor. He didn't notice the pool was empty. My husband's godson did the same thing. He and his friends had broken into the pool area of a school which was closed for the summer, and no one noticed that they'd drained the pool. He's been a quadriplegic for going on 36 years now. I can always figure out how long it's been because my husband's ex was giving birth to their daughter at the same time, and at the same hospital he was airlifted to. Drop everything and all ambitions in his own life to try and help his girlfriend pursue hers. She lived overseas. It did not end well. For maximum hilarity, did she dump him because she was ambitious and achieving shit he wasn't and she thought she could do better? Because that would be fucking funny. Sadly, nothing that fun. She cheated on him and told him and he dropped the relationship. By then the damage was long done, he had dropped out of school and spent every penny he had on her. I once knew someone who swapped university courses midway through, so that he could become a teacher in a subject he was more passionate about. We were pleased for him, he was really excited, and it all got off to a great start. He eventually completed his degree and qualified as a teacher in that subject. However, he is no longer a teacher. Why is that? Well, turns out he had sex with 2 underage students and verbally harassed them afterwards. There was a failed third attempt. He then fled to Italy for some reason. He has no connection there as far as I know, to escape justice, eventually turned himself in and was arrested when he arrived back in the UK. Just shy of 3 years in prison, although he was paroled at around the halfway mark. 10 years on the UK sex offender register with a supplementary sexual harm prevention order, which controls his interaction with young people. Banned from teaching for life. Apparently that wasn't all. I heard other gossip about his behavior in the classroom which was deeply troubling, but not criminal, so nothing was done. I have no idea what he does now. People have seen him, spoken to him, but he doesn't speak of what happened. No idea what he was thinking or what he initially set out to achieve. Did he go into teaching so that he could do these things? Or did his mind somehow warp a bit later on? I saw a guy in the highway blow past me in a lifted truck doing about 120 to 130 miles per hour hit a concrete divider. He was being chased by a state trooper. I'd say that was the fastest way I've seen someone ruin their life. Wow. Was there anything left of him or the truck afterwards? At 120 miles per hour it wouldn't even matter if he wore his seatbelt, the force of impact could still maim or kill. Unsurprisingly he died, however the surprising part was that he lived for 3 days after the crash. Phew. I heard a lady in an SUV hit a motorcycle waiting in the left turn lane. Heard the crunch and then saw the scene across a large intersection. She was texting, of course, and didn't even see him or slow down. He looked like a pile of rags about 30 feet from his bike, and she hit him so hard that his helmet came off. I don't know how he turned out, but vehicular homicide seemed a likely outcome for her. In less than 5 years, one of my cousins was married twice, to 2 equally horrible people, and blew through 2 inheritances. He and his first wife trashed a house my grandmother let them live in for free and got mad when she asked him to pay for repairs. He is now completely alienated from family, including his parents, and disowned. I'm the guy that had to redo a house that was trashed and it is disgusting. Some people need to be forced to learn how to clean. Roaches, everywhere. Chief of anesthesia, 30-year marriage, kid, DeLorean in the driveway. Secret bank account, hookers, meth, more hookers. Bank account found. Divorce, more hookers, teeth knocked out in strip club fight, felony meth conviction, lost job, lost license, lost the hookers. Now parks cars at the airport. Kid I went to high school with used to break into homes in his neighborhood to steal phones with his younger brother. They always did seem to have a couple of screws loose, but never thought they were capable of hurting anyone. Then one night they robbed the wrong house. As they were sneaking into the kitchen, the owner of the house came in for a late night glass of water and caught them in the act. Unlucky for them, he also was a former Marine. They got into it but one of the kids had a knife, and started repeatedly stabbing the dude in the head. They ran off after that, but the next day they were arrested. One is still in juvie 5 years later, the other was sentenced to 30 years in state prison. Edit, owner of the house is apparently still alive, but suffers from a lot of mental issues now. My sister and her husband started doing crack. Both lost their job, they lost their house, moved across the country with their kids who hated them for their big fuck-ups. Sister decides to get sober after getting a DUI. Husband kicks her out for it. She moves back with nothing but the clothes on her back and gets sober. Kids move out to be with her a year later. She gets her life in order and is now in the process of buying a house. Husband works now just to support a drug and alcohol habit while living in his mom's house. So even though she ruined her life pretty bad for a while, she managed to get her shit back together. Very proud of your sister for getting her shit together. Drunk driving. Guy crashed his car, ran from the scene, was tracked down, resisted arrest, assaulted a cop, blew way over, and in 2 hours went from kid to convict. My cousin did this, but luckily we live in good old boy country and he's a good old boy, so he's out of jail and fine. However, my grandmother, whose insurance he was on, is being sued for $1 million in damages. A friend in high school. Was popular, good looking, dude could have been a model, really smart. Got accepted to an Ivy League school, and all he had to do was make sure he passed all his classes and he was in. Well, the last week of senior year he had a math exam, and all he had to do was just show up and write his name on the exam. The teacher had it set up where you get at least a 40% just by writing your name. He just couldn't get a 0% or else he wouldn't pass. The dipshit decided to skip his exam and go get high instead. Failed the exam and the class and couldn't attend the Ivy League school. He eventually spiraled over the years into drugs and dead-end jobs. It's been 15 years since high school, and last I heard he's still living at home. He could have went places in life but decided to get stoned instead. Had a friend from high school who decided to opt out by jumping off the roof at his mom's house. He landed in such a way that he survived, but is now paralyzed from the chest down, as in, can't even breathe for himself and fully reliant on home health aides and his mom, whom he despised and named as the reason he wanted out of life. It's fair that she was a full-blown heroin addict at this point and was a shit show herself. A friend of mine was 3 years from retirement at age 53 and decided to throw it away. He used to take the winter off and spend it with his family. He used to do hard drugs, and he decided to start shooting meth winter before last. He taught his 18-year-old son how to do drugs and run around with women. He didn't return to work and lied to his wife about them not being able to take him back at work. He texted me in the middle of the night that he would have hung himself by the time I woke up. He sent the same message to his brother, who called the police to do a welfare check, and they found meth. He is losing his beautiful house and is going to be living out of a camp trailer for now. He had everything going so well, and now he has to start over. Yeah. Meth is one of those boogeyman drugs that totally has the potential to put your life in the fast track to fucktown. My girlfriend and I had a friend who used to have her shit together, master's in education, job as the director of curriculum development for a small private school, good looking. But she had difficulty finding a man and lost a lot of confidence because of it. Finally, she settles for a guy that she was way too good to be with. Then some stuff comes to the surface about this dude, including the fact that he's an ex-con, which, honestly, wouldn't be that big of a deal if it was the only thing. Has 2 kids who live in a different state that he's been ordered not to contact. And he has a meth habit. She stays with him because, I guess, for her, it's better than being alone. He eventually convinces her to try meth. And then she starts doing benzos to manage the come down. One night, high on meth and with enough Xanax in her system to tranquilize a wildebeest, she gets into a fight with her boyfriend and storms out of the house and into the street, where she's promptly struck by a car. This would be the, I gotta get my shit together moment for most people, but not our girl. While recovering, she develops a healthy addiction to OxyContin. In less than a year's time, she burnt her life down to the foundation. Then she jackhammered the foundation into rubble and bulldozed it into a hole. She lost her job, her car and her house in that order. Since her boyfriend was sponging off her and had no job or home of his own, they were both now homeless. So they both moved into his car. And that's when my girlfriend and I lost touch with her for a while. A year or so later, she showed up at our door looking nothing like the person she once was. All the softness and warmth in her face had been replaced by a sunken severity. She'd lost a ton of weight and nearly all her muscle tone. Her arms looked like thin sticks wrapped in sickly white biscuit dough. She lost her 2 last friends that day after my girlfriend caught her going through her purse after excusing herself to take a phone call. She begged my girlfriend, literally fell to her knees and begged, not to call the cops as she was on probation and it would likely result in a lengthy stay in jail. My girlfriend agreed not to call the cops and I walked her out. When we got to the driveway, this fucking lunatic actually had the audacity to ask me for $20 for gas. I told her she had 30 seconds to get her thieving ass out of my driveway and around the corner or I would call the cops.